All right, guys, this is Kelly from Hills Disney Wheels Mobile Home Investing Course. We have a special guest today. We have Mrs. Lisa M. Jones out of Florida. She is a mobile home investor, and I've reached out to Lisa. First of all, how you doing, Lisa?
I am great. I am great. I am so happy to be here with you. Thank you so much. I know
I,
I thank you, but really, thank you so much for
yeah,
wanting
I
to spend
appreciate,
some
I
time with
appreciate.
me.
Yeah, because Lisa, you killing the game. And what I like about you, you a newbie. You only been in the business for about a month, and
Right?
there's no analysis paralysis going on with you.
No, not anymore. Not anymore.
Okay. So
Not
Lisa,
anymore.
introduce yourself to everybody.
So my name is Lisa Jones. I live in Central Florida. I live in Kissimmee, which is right outside of Orlando. I am originally from New York, so I always claim to be a native New Yorker who just happens to live in Florida. Um, I moved from New York and I lived in Maryland for a little bit, and then I've been in Florida for about a little more than 10 years. I have a corporate background. I've worked in media and marketing most of my career. Then I got a real estate license right before the first crash.
Hmm.
And we know what happened then. And realized that I really did love real estate, but I didn't want to be an agent. And stepped into investing like a lot of people, a lot of Facebook groups, and started out in single family home wholesaling, mostly virtual. And so that's what I was doing. And mobile home investing came around just as it's come around for a number of people. And like most of us, you raise your eyebrow like, I don't think that's really the niche for me. And you kind of set it aside. But once you have started to build relationships and have respect for people, and then you start to see what they're doing, then you sort of say, maybe I should think about this again. And bought some courses, as most people have, and started following people, and really just, decided to take the plunge. I went to an event in May, and then I got really serious. I said, all right, this is something I think I really need to really, really focus in on, because single family homes wasn't really doing it for me. And I said, there has to be a way to be a lot more profitable for myself.
Hmm.
And here we are. It is like probably 35 days. And I have done three deals, three wholesale deals, bought a property, getting ready to sell that one, and have about four others in the pipeline in just a little over a month.
Wow, killing it, killing
Yeah, trying to be like you.
it. No, you are really killing it because you took off. You took off. I've seen all your posts and stuff. I'm like, man, I got to reach out to her because she's killing it. So, Lisa, what was it about the real estate business was just not there for you?
I think I don't know. I think being an agent is a whole different animal. There's a lot of there's so many facets, and you're dealing with a broker, and you're dealing with giving up some of your commission, the MLS, what do you call it? What is it when the house has to be evaluated, and
Yeah,
it doesn't
inspections
come
and all
back
that.
and it doesn't appraise well, and then people can't get financing. I'm like, there has to be a straighter line than
Okay,
this.
okay,
Wholesaling really is that.
okay.
Wholesaling or being an investor really is that
Hmm.
arena that allows you not to have to deal with all that. But then just in the single family wholesaling game, it just was a lot. Buying lists, going through VAs. I cannot even tell you how much money I have spent in trying to be profitable as an investor.
Okay,
This has been the shortest trajectory I cannot tell you that I have ever experienced in my life.
okay.
And I'm here to tell anybody, if you if you've thought about it, stop thinking about it, because like what everybody else says, it is true beyond truth. I can't even tell you.
Wow,
I can't even tell you.
wow, wow,
So
wow.
here I am. I'm a mobile home investor. I'm sold. You don't have to talk to me about anything else after this.
I
Nope.
feel the same way. I feel the same way. So Lisa, you said you were a realtor, but are you licensed to buy and sell mobile homes?
I am no longer licensed. I was licensed in Maryland, and then I did not renew my license in Maryland. And when I moved to Florida, I didn't take the exam here for Florida. No.
No, I'm talking about mobile homes. Are you
Oh, I'm
licensed?
sorry. I'm sorry.
That's
No,
okay.
I'm sorry. As a licensed broker, I am not at the moment.
Okay.
I will say that, and shout out to all the folks that have helped me in the last month. They know who they are, and I don't want to leave anybody out. But, this can be an arena where there's a lot of people that you can pull on for resources, and everyone who's I've reached out to has stepped up to the plate. And the first person was someone who I just had a new relationship with, and she
Okay.
just happened to be a broker. And when I needed a broker's license, and I made a promise even before I talked to her. And I told the park manager, sure, if I show you the license that my partner has, can we continue in your park? And she said, sure. And I just reached back out and I said, listen, this is the deal. Can we partner on this? And this is what I need in order for us to get this deal done. And we've been rocking and rolling ever since.
Right. So Lisa, even though you don't have a license, there's still other ways that you could get deals done without having a license because you don't have to, with wholesaling, you don't need a license at
No,
all.
you
It's
don't
just,
need a license.
it's just
You
when you're
don't.
buying and holding, that's when the issue might come along. But,
Right. Or in this instance, it was a park that it was a corporately owned park. And one of their regulations or rules was that you have to be a realtor to sell in the park. But the other thing that I realized, and I'm sure you understand this, be very clear, ask for understanding. What do they mean?
okay.
Because when I reached out and was speaking to the park manager, she asked me who I was. And I
Mm-hmm.
used that faded word investor. And right then I'm thinking that I'm, wearing my badge as I'm an investor, but that was a word that was a no-no for them. And she said to me, you must cease and desist.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, that is only used for like criminals in my mind. I'm like, cease and desist. And quickly I realized, I said, well, what is it that I would need? And she says, well, you need to have a license. And I
Right.
said, okay, that's fine if I can show you my partner's license. But after we've talked, I've done 2 deals and getting ready to close on the 3rd in her park. I said, what did that really mean? Do I really need a license? Like, what was that about? And come to find out, I really didn't. She said, we don't like investors because we don't like the idea of people coming in, buying the property and subleasing in our park. So with further clarification, I realized I probably really didn't need it in the beginning because that's not what I was doing. I didn't buy any property. All
Right.
of them were wholesale deals. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, partnering and figuring out who your resources are as quickly as possible, I think get you to the goal. Don't let that hiccup kill the deal.
Right, right. And to me, when people let that hiccup kill the deal, you're just making an excuse for this not to work. That's my personal opinion. You're making up
Absolutely.
excuses that this is not going to work, and it works all day long.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
but you know what, Lisa, what I like about your story, and I'm not going to sit up here and act like we haven't talked for 2 hours recently, but what I like about your story is similar to me and my brother because we just really don't see the need to do bandit signs, especially if you're building a relationship with the park manager. So tell us about you, bandit signs, and your relationships with the park managers.
Well, really quickly, most people will tell anyone starting that is the way to get your first deal or to continue to get deals. That was not my path. The first deal came as a lead. And once I got in there and I built the relationship with the park manager because I realized that their job is hard enough and they are not trying to deal with people who also have their issues moving out of their parks,
Right.
trying to also get them to move out of the parks with a whole list of things that they need them to do. And once I realized that, I said, what would it be? How can I best assist you? If someone like myself is in your park, how can I help you? And she said, if you can just get them to do this, and this, and I don't have to deal with them. And I knew from then that we were going to be fast friends and we were going to be doing a lot more deals because once I did that first deal, that thing happened in like a week. And when I sent her an email to tell her, Mr. So-and-so's house has been sold, we're getting ready to close, she came back and she said, oh, really? Did you tell them about the skirting? I said, skirting's done. Did you tell them about the power washing? Power washing's done. And she said, oh, Well, that's fantastic. And the other thing that I would say is anticipate the next two steps. Anticipate the steps as well as keep control and manage the manageables. If I realized that she didn't have to talk to those sellers who she was already not too happy about, this was going to be golden.
Wow.
As well as the sellers who were complaining about her from the moment that I got there. This park manager is this, and she is this, and I was like, what is it we need to do? If I can keep, let's call her Jane, out of your hair, and you don't have to deal with Jane, would that make you happy? Oh, if we can just not have to talk to Jane. So I had my marching orders. I kept Jane at bay, and I told them everything about what they were doing, and we were fine.
Wow. Well, so Lisa, you were talking about your first deal or your first lead. So how did that come about? Because it wasn't with a bandit sign. So how did that come about?
It wasn't with a bandit sign. It was someone in one of the Facebook groups. And, you know, we all belong to a number of Facebook groups. Don't sleep on the Facebook groups. Don't sleep on people dropping content or things that may be important to you. And someone that does not live in my market made a post about my market, as well as others, saying I am somebody to connect with. I'm looking to connect with people in different locations. And immediately I did an emoji with my hand raising saying, here, I'm here for it. And that person reached out to me and she said, I think she works for mobilehomes.com or something like that, or webuymobilehomes.com.
Okay.
And she doesn't live in Florida. And she says, I have this lead. I have this woman. She's a little bit temperamental. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but they need to move in about 3 weeks. The very first one, I had no idea what I was walking into. And something said, you know what? This beats a bandit sign because this is a lead right here. I am going to run with this. And that was it. And off to the races, got there and started talking about the house across the street. And then she said, well, what about ours? Do you think you could sell ours too? And I'm saying, oh, well, sure, I can help you. I can help you. But Kelly, I have to say, all of these things happened. The house we were in, she had a little side deal with somebody who lived in the park with a contract on a little piece of paper like this, had his check. The mother lived across the street whose house we were selling. The father died. So the title was in the father's name. And now the title was wrong. It was the wrong information, the wrong address on the title. So there were all of these things that I'm thinking, this is not in the course. They don't tell you how to mitigate what happens if the deceased person is not here and the title doesn't match and, you know.
Right.
But it is, I will tell anybody, you have to learn how to think on your feet, and the deal is not done. Whatever it is you have to do, the deal is not done. Just keep that, fake it. Here's the thing, and I believe this just even when I was in business, they don't know what you don't know.
Now, see, Lisa, now somebody gonna think I paid you to say that.
No.
They don't know, especially they don't know that you don't know what you're talking about.
They don't know. Listen, when I pulled out the purchasing agreement, which I had seen 1,000 times, my hand was shaking. And I'm like, oh, Lord, is this the right document?
Right.
Did I mess up the document? And then not only that, I had to pull in the broker's document, right? My partner, who was a broker, because she has to cover herself. Now I have to go back to them and say, we are replacing this document with this document. But you know what I did? I didn't replace that. I didn't mention anything about the first one. I said, you know, as we are moving along, there's a document that I neglected to have you sign. Would you mind signing this document for me to put in the file along with the other paperwork? They did not blink one iota. Wow. So I would say to people, stop worrying about what you think they know, because all they want is for you to get their property sold. That's it.
Right. And so, Lisa, would it be safe to say, since you're building relationships with park managers, let's just say there was a piece of paper you weren't familiar with, would you be comfortable? Like, hey, I've never done this before. You could go to the park manager and ask them. It probably wouldn't be a big deal.
Absolutely. You know what? So to that point, the property had the wrong title, had the wrong address on the title. Who did I go to? The park manager, because the park manager has to have the records for that property. What record do you have that matches lot number XYZ? And you know what? Not only that, the park manager gave me a resource that I'd never heard before. I think it's called Auto Data. And it is a data source that is the proof of any particular vehicle. Believe it or not, that document, and no one else had heard of it, even in the sphere of the people we know in these groups. When I went to the DMV, I almost couldn't get that title transferred. And when I pulled that out, I said, this is the document that came from this source from the park. Okay. And the woman said, well, I'm so glad you have that, because that is verification that this information matches this property that you're trying to do the title transfer.
So, Lisa, tell us, okay, so your first deal was a wholesale deal. And so what was the seller asking? And did you try to get them lower?
The seller says to me, all I want is $4,000 for this property. Now, this was the mother's property.
Okay.
Then I'm in the house with his wife, right? So this is the son. So when I meet the son, and the mother's house was really, very sweet, very well maintained. His house needed a lot more work. He had that under contract with one of the neighbors, as I said on the piece of paper, for $3,000. And he said, that's all that I really want. And I said, okay, that's all that you really want? Okay, let's see what we're going to do. You want me to tell you what I sold him for?
Yeah.
I sold the mother's for $7,500, and I sold his for $8,000.
Wow. So now that's a nice little spread. That's a nice little spread for something that you don't even own.
That's something for for something that I did not own. And remember, that first one, I had a referral fee to pay, and I had the broker to pay. So I had two other people partnered in on that first one, and I still walked away with a nice
chunk of change. Right.
The second one, we didn't have the referral, but I still had to pay the broker, and I still walked away with a nice piece of change. I mean, if you want me to tell you, I'll tell you. But the idea that I not only doubled their money. Now, you can tell me what you think about this. We've had this conversation, I just could not just hand him $4,000 when I made twice as much for him.
Right.
It's just me. You know that there are many people that will say the seller only wants $5,000 and I made $10,000. Now, that doesn't mean that I won't do that in the future. Going forward.
In the future.
It just I think I'm telling you, I was just so surprised. I was really just so surprised that I was like,
how quick and easy it was.
And easy it was. It was quick and easy. But something else that I did, and nobody taught me this. When people were, and so I put it on Facebook, I put them on the contract. I put the deal on Facebook Marketplace. That was it. I didn't even get to Craigslist. It was all Facebook Marketplace. By the time I woke up the next morning, I must have had 20, 30 hits, on my phone. I was just like, oh, wait a minute. This is legit. When can I come? When can I come? This is what people were making offers. So what I decided to do is I created a little bit of a competition. When I set the date for the open house, I went back to to that list and I said, there have been bids over asking. Please bring your best and highest offer. I posted that deal for $9,000. When people I sold it for $14,000.
Wow. Look at
so
you.
I created this sense of urgency, and that if you really wanted it, we're not talking $9,000. Nobody offered me $9,000. Nobody. Because I already said that somebody already offered over asking. And I did that same thing on the second property. Same thing.
Wow.
Nobody told me to do that, but it worked.
You did it. So Lisa, explain to us the referral fee. So the referral fee, it wasn't a joint venture you were doing with this person. This person just said, hey, Lisa, if you want this deal, here it goes. And so, what was that? Yeah, what was that?
So that person, apparently she gets deals, and I didn't really go into it as much. And she said, um, I will have deals in certain marketplaces, and I will find someone that I will offer it to. Do you want to run with this deal? And it was $1,000. And it really, and she said, I really believe sort of in a gentleman's, handshake. We didn't
Mm-hmm.
sign a contract or anything. And she said, I'm just doing it, as goodwill and in good faith. And she said, as long as you just keep me in the loop in terms of the deal. And that's what I did. And after that, I got my money. I said, how do you want to be paid? I sent it to her in the Zelle. Then she sent me another deal.
Look at that. Look at
She
that.
sent me another deal. So I'm working on a land deal,
Wow.
which this was only the first one. And she said, well, what do you think about land? I said, send it to me. Let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
See what
Wow.
happens.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
then I sold the second one. So I sold the mother's house. And the broker said to me, my friend who's the broker, I was anxious because these houses were right across from each other. But the one thing she told me that was really, really smart, and maybe if I was more seasoned, I might have done it differently. But she said, do not try to do open houses and, mix these businesses, these properties are what you're doing together, because they're too close and you only want to deal with one set of buyers for one property at a time. Do not, that was the best advice, even though this place is like an hour from me each way.
Okay.
And you're trying to mitigate your traveling and everything, but it was the best advice, because it would have really gotten ugly. People wanting to go to the house across the street and people talking. Just deal with who you're dealing with, that one property in that one location. That's what I would, at least for me. So it worked out fine for me.
But Lisa, let's just say hypothetically somebody said, well, I don't have this type of money for the first home. And then you have a cheaper home. You wouldn't go
Right.
across the street for that?
Absolutely. Well, what I did, because there were people who also knew that the first home I was selling was somehow connected to the people across the street.
Mm-hmm.
And again, as I said, you control what you control. And I believe whatever you tell someone, either they're going to listen to you or they're going to go someplace else. And I said, yes, we are selling that property. However, we are not at that point right now. And we have a scheduled open house next week. If you'd like to come see that one and talk to me privately, then we can do so. And it worked like a charm. Nobody said, well, I see the lady across the street. Nobody said anything like that to me.
Wow. Okay.
And some of those same people came to the open house the following week. And they said, well, what happened to this house? I said, well, this house sold. I said, but you're here to talk about this one. Right. So let's talk about this one.
In other words, stay focused.
Stay focused. Stay focused. Don't pull me across the street. We're not going across the street. Don't go across the street.
So Lisa, we talked about the referral fee. So what was the broker fee? So in order to and explain to everybody what brokering the deal is. So, and what was that fee?
So, when someone is a mobile home broker, they have a license, right? They are licensed and certified. Every state is different. It is sort of similar to being an agent or a broker. But again, there's some nuances that are slightly different. Because she has a license, she could very well come. She could have told me more money. I don't know. She said to me, let's start with a flat fee. And we had a flat fee of $2,000. And she said, if you're going to use my license, if we are going to partner in this regard, then this is what I want. Now, it could have changed. And I thought that it could possibly change as we got into deals that, had a bigger split. I was anticipating that, still might anticipate that.
Okay.
But going into these first two deals, I was like, if I don't have this, I'm not going to be able to do the deal. That is also the reason why I push for a higher sales price.
Right.
That's the other reason why I created a bidding war, because at the 9,000, I was not going to walk away with a decent profit, because 3,000 of that came off the top. Do the math. Right. If my buyer said that he only wanted 3 or 4, and I sold it at 14.
You mean the seller? You mean the seller wanted 3 or 4?
The seller. Right? So 3 came off of the top. I'm left with 11. and he said he wanted 4. So you do the math.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Now I gave him more money than that,
Mm-hmm.
but I said I cannot be. I can't sell this at 9. And really, and even after analyzing the market, I think it was I marketed for too little bit of a price.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually believe that might be the better way, because I didn't have too many people people were bidding for what they wanted. I didn't have people saying, oh, well, 20,000 is too high, so let me give you 15. People were going the other way.
Wow.
I
Nice.
don't know if that would happen all the time, but that's
Mm-hmm.
what happened
Mm-hmm.
with these two, and actually the one I'm closing tomorrow. Same thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Lisa, when you put these homes on Facebook Marketplace, were they paid ads or free?
Free ads. All
Mm-hmm.
I did was take as many pictures as you possibly can, so you have a variety to use for yourself. It's better to have more than less, because you're doing it on your phone. You don't know what they really look like. And I just selected like maybe the best 6 or 7, 8 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at what other people wrote. I tried to come up with something that was eye-catching.
Mm-hmm.
Like that first one, it was 2-1 mobile home must sell. And then in the description, I just wrote a description. So I followed what other people did. And then I went into, the yard sales and, mobile home, Central Florida, mobile home, everything mobile home. So there are those groups that are already labeled. And I think I must have marketed in about maybe 20 groups. I didn't go further than that. And that's the same groups that I have been continually for the other 2 deals. Same thing. I have not even gotten to Craigslist. I haven't paid for an ad. I haven't put out a bandit sign yet. which, I'm sure at one point maybe I will. We talked about this.
Right,
I
right.
know that they work, but this is working for me, so I'm not trying to be creeping around at 6 o'clock in the morning with a trunk full of nothing. At this point, I might
Yeah,
have to pay somebody.
yeah. I told you, Lisa, you got to be safe out there. I know I ain't getting up that time
No.
of morning. I'm not, even though I'm a night owl, that's not going to happen. So anyway, Lisa, how do you guys go about closing the deals out there in Florida? You go to the DMV and, what about the taxes and all that kind of stuff? How does that work?
So closing the deal, we have the purchase agreement with the seller. The buyer says that they're interested in the property. Meet with the seller and the buyer with a bill of sale that I've already typed up. I already highlight and write in as much as I can so that people are not trying to figure out what they need to do. The bill of sale, and I asked the seller in the beginning, do you have a title? I
Mm-hmm.
don't wait, because that becomes a bear, as most people would know. I don't tell me you have it. No, I need to see it before we go any further. Ask about any liens, blah, blah, blah. Now, what I did, I was the power of attorney, because the first home, the seller was an older woman. So she
Mm-hmm.
couldn't go to the title company. Let me say this. Some people don't go to the title company with the buyer. I've heard this. They just give the buyer the title.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that's my guarantee to my seller that that buyer has transferred that title in their name, make a copy and send it to them or give it to them. So you asked about the taxes. The buyer is going to pay the taxes on the home.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to pay the tag fee. They're going to pay, there's 3 things and I just forgot. It's the taxes, the medallion. Help me, Kelly, and there's something else. I forgot what the other thing
Well,
is.
we don't close deals like that in
Don't
Texas.
close deals like that.
No, we don't do it like that. Uh-uh.
There are like 3 things that the DMV will require. But here's the other thing that I've done after the first one. I will call the DMV just as a courtesy to my buyer to say, on this property valued at this amount of money,
Uh-huh.
what will be the anticipated taxes and tag that the new buyer will anticipate? So that when I tell them once the deal is done, this is what you are going to have to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that it didn't bite me. It didn't bite me. But my buyer on the second deal did not close because he wigged out over the taxes and the tag. Although I really believe that was not really the case, but that was the icing on the cake. Or that was his excuse.
Yeah.
So we didn't close because of that. So it is very true when they say closing day is Monday, Friday. We were 1 hour before we closed, and I called to remind him, please remember we're going to go to the DMV. And when I told him, he said, oh, I think I'm making a mistake. And I'm driving to the seller. I'm driving, and he's saying, oh, I'm going to meet you there, but I think I'm pulling out of the deal. And in front of the seller's house, he pulls out of the deal. I now have to go back in the house and tell the sellers, this buyer is not buying your home. However, I truly believe in taking backup offers. So all of those people that DM me when I said this deal is pending, and now that's the other thing, I don't put it's pending on Facebook Marketplace. I go in to the people that have seriously inquired, because other people are still going to be inquiring. Let them continue to inquire, because also now that's building my buyers list. Don't cut yourself off and say, the deal is pending. I will let you know what happens. And luckily I did that very same morning. Somebody from Jersey said, did that deal close? I really, really want that property. I went back, knocked on the seller's door and said, can I do a walkthrough, a video walkthrough? Because I have another buyer who's interested in purchasing your home. And I told you, Kelly, the lady opened the door with her nightgown on. The husband came out in his shorts. Said, yeah, sure. Walk through. And I'm saying, is this really happening? Like, is this really happening? And I did a video walkthrough. One day, that woman wired me her funds. We didn't miss a beat. And we closed, I think, 3 days later.
Okay.
She's moving from Jersey.
So, Lisa, you think this would have played out differently if you would have got earnest money from the first buyer? Or do you not, earnest money, you're not collecting that, or what?
They happen. That is a lesson learned, I think. I truly think that is a lesson learned. Because unlike single family, this happens, 3-4 days and someone saying, I'm going to bring you. Well, can I back up a minute?
Sure, go ahead.
I think I got a little jaded because the first buyer, the first home, we did the open house on a Saturday. The gentleman was so anxious. He met me there, I think, on the Monday, and he brought the money in a box, like the bank uses for coins. He got a car with $14,000 in a box under his arm. And I said, oh, people do bring you money in a paper bag.
Right, they do.
And I think I got jaded of the speed of this, that I didn't think with that second deal to require an earnest money deposit. And I think you were very right. That would have mitigated all of this, because if he knew that he had to put down $3,500 or $2,500, he would have been a lot more clear. Was this the property for him or not? So that was a lesson for me.
Right. But it still worked out. I was just trying to figure out what was going on with that.
Okay. But I tell you, so the deal I'm closing tomorrow, they didn't do an earnest money. I mean, I have to tell you, they hounded me so much because of paperwork and things like that. And, getting their application approved with the woman was almost in tears when we couldn't get the application done. And she was like, I want this so bad. Please don't think that we're stupid. We're trying to get this done. Please, please don't take it as such and go sell it behind my back. I mean, I almost had to promise her my firstborn child. I was like, it is okay. It's fine. Wow. And, so I don't know. I'm not sure. Do you take earnest money deposit? I don't know.
I take earnest money, and I love when you back out. Oh yeah, I'll take it all day long because I'm keeping it.
And I think that's a rule. I don't think I should stick with my gut with that, because this is not a gut game. Yeah. Right? This is not a gut. situation.
Yeah, if you wasting my time, I'm gonna hit your pocket bad. I'm gonna hit it hard.
Right.
Yeah.
You're
So
right.
I'm not gonna work for you if you're not gonna give me no earnest money.
You're
If
right.
if I was a realtor, you know what I'm saying? Just because it's a mobile home is now it's different. No, you gotta show me that we're working together. That's what you.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
You're right. You're
so
very
back, but you did a wonderful job. But back to the power of attorney. So you got the power of attorney with the seller in order that you could transfer the title with the buyer. So was that paperwork notarized, or how did you go about doing that?
No, it is not notarized here. We don't need notarization in Florida. Ironically, I'm a notary. Of course, I can't notarize my own
Exactly.
documents, but I
You,
do
you
know.
can't, you can't, Lisa, but you be in jail. I had to put some money on your books. You
I'm
can
telling
do
you, I
it
could. You're very right. I could.
now.
But it's not required here. And so it is one simple form. You're putting the title and the property information. You're getting, their information. They hereby give you authority to make a transaction on that property. You take
Mm-mm.
that to the DMV, and that's it. That second property, here's something that's interesting. Here's a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
They do not take DocuSign documents, excuse me, a DocuSign power of attorney signature at the DMV. But they will take, we can use a DocuSign contract
Okay.
or a property sale or a bill of sale. I thought that was very ironic after I spent an hour going back to the DMV and the lady said to me, you can't use this. I was
Wow.
like, what? She says, no, the power of attorney must be signed. It must be the original signature. So on that second house, I had to email the buyer, have her print it, sign it, and send it to me. And so actually I'm doing that title transfer tomorrow when I go to do the final bill of sale for this third house.
Mm-hmm. So, Lisa, is there an issue with the buyer and the seller ever meeting each other?
So the ish only well, you know what? Let me just say this. I would have thought it would have. So in the beginning, that first home, they never met each other until it was time to do the paperwork with the bill of sale.
Okay.
The one thing that was interesting, and I think I mentioned this, is the buyer brings you a handful of cash and the seller sitting across from you. Now, you have to give the seller their money and you're keeping your money. And I'm
Right.
thinking, how am I going to finesse this and not seem awkward? Well, I quickly opened up that lid and just try to count as easily what I was going to give him. I packed it like this and I reached over to the sofa and I gave him his money and he never said a word to me. He
Well,
never said a word to
because he
me.
knows you're not doing that for free. So,
Sure.
and that's what I think that's another stumbling block with people who are new in this profession. They're like, oh, well, they're going to know I made $5,000 or $10,000. But the end result is they got a mobile home and the seller sold a mobile home and the buyer gets a mobile home. So they're not really tripping over that. Now, if it was something ridiculous, I'm sure they'd be like, hey, what's going on? But
Correct.
do you ever get worried that if the buyer and the seller meet each other, that they're going to cut you out of the deal?
I don't, so this deal that we're closing tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
I built such a great rapport with the seller.
Mm-hmm.
And also, so she's under contract and she said clearly to me, this is how much I want. I could care less how much you sell it for. As
Wow.
long she said it. She said, I don't care if you make $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. I do not care. Whatever you have to do. We did one showing last Saturday
Mm-hmm.
and that wasn't enough. We had to do another showing. And I went with my gut and I said, listen, do you mind showing it to the people that are coming? And I made it a very short window. I said, please put them on the phone, give them 10 minutes and call me once they get there. Because again, how
Mm-hmm.
can I control it? Pull me back in and let me sort of take the reins. Because if I had to say that to the buyers, then I would have said that to the buyers. You need to call me once you have seen. But she called me. They
Mm-hmm.
were there for 10 minutes. And everybody was laughing and giggling. I said, oh, you're having a good time. She says, oh, they love it. They want to talk to you now because they want to put in an offer. I didn't have to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so she did meet them and there
Mm-hmm.
was no problem. So um, I'm not sure that's always going to be the case, but I go back to saying, I think if you have a good relationship with the seller
Right.
and you're going to take care of them or you're going to meet whatever their expectation is, or you have handled the objections, because I did say to her, her home was a little older. I said, you know what? I hold reserve that we may not get what it is you're looking for. I said, we're going to put it out there. If
Right.
you have an older home, I said, we're gonna act like I didn't have this conversation, but we may have to come back and revisit it. I can't. What I put it out there for, 14.5. This home is a 1967.
Woo.
Let me tell you something. It is just, they put in new floors. It has no central air, and it is just as cute as can be. She's neat. She's clean. I'm walking away with almost $5,000. One
Wow.
showing, two showings, 1 week. She's happy as a clam, and so am I. And so are the new buyers. So there we go. And that's the other thing. That's the other thing that I thought about is, suppose the home is really old. How are you going to sell a home that's really old or a home that doesn't have central air? These new buyers, they could care less. The woman is just ecstatic. She's like, oh, I've already picked out my new bed. Can you tell me when she's moving? Because I need to give a date to the people that I'm ordering my bed for delivery.
Oh, wow.